Hey, what's up everyone? This is Alex, and I just got done watching the PlayStation 5 reveal event. Now I'm going to be kind of reviewing it, giving it a arbitrary score at the end, but mostly I'm going to be highlighting the games that really stood out for me. I'm not going to go through every game, but this will just be what I took away from it. So let's get to it. So instead of making you wait till the very end, like Sony did for us, I'm going to talk about the actual console design very first. Now, initially, I kind of thought it was going to look almost exactly like this after we saw the controller. I feel like it's a design that maybe doesn't capture the best here in video or photo format, but I think it's going to look really nice in real life. It kind of does remind me of a decade ago PC case in some kind of ways. But yeah, I think it's a design that will look more solid when we actually get our hands on it. And interesting enough, they have two models, one with a disk drive and one without. So it's hard to say now just looking at it in this video, but I think it'll look much cooler in real life. Now into the games, we start out with Spider-Man Miles Morales. And this is the kind of game that the last Spider-Man game I definitely enjoyed. The trailer didn't show off a whole lot that looks new. I mean, it looks like kind of more of the same if you like the last Spider-Man game. It's definitely a game I'll be there day one playing. But yeah, a decent reveal. Not one of my favorites of the show, but definitely a solid one. So then we got some kind of highly edited gameplay of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, where visually this looks astonishing. Gameplay-wise, it looks a lot like the last one. There's not a lot new here other than, you know, obviously new weapons, but from a gameplay perspective, this looks kind of like what you'd expect from the last Ratchet & Clank game. This is another one I'll definitely be there on day one playing this, but not one of my most anticipated of the show. So here we got a look at Project Athia, and they didn't show much gameplay. The gameplay they did show looked highly scripted, but the aesthetic and just atmosphere of this looks awesome. I love the theme. It reminds me of kind of like a fantasy take on Bloodborne in a way. I really like the general theme of it. So yeah, this is kind of higher up on my list for the show. Definitely be looking out for this. Then Returnal. This looks really cool as well. The gameplay reminds me a lot of Mass Effect Andromeda, but the theme of it reminds me of kind of like Bloodborne again. Bloodborne meets Control almost. This one definitely looks cool. This is also high up on my list. Good showing. Then Kena Bridge of Spirits. This one may be in my top 5 of the show easily. Maybe top 3, because I'm a big Zelda fan, and this looks kind of like a Zelda style game with focus on these little minion creatures, whatever they are. I'm always a little skeptical when games have these kind of swarms of minions you're trying to micromanage, but yeah, I really like the style of this. I love a good old-fashioned action adventure. Huge fan of that genre. I mean, look at that. That looks amazing. Definitely gonna play this for sure. Then we have Solar Ash from Heart Machine, which brought us Hyper Light Drifter, and I was a big fan of that game. So it might be getting somewhat of a little pass just because of that, because this doesn't show much, but a full 3D game from them definitely looks cool. Really great style. Looks like somewhat of a platformer. You kind of skate along the ground. So that's kind of weird, but yeah, looks pretty cool. Next up, Little Devil Inside. This one is definitely also high on my list. This one looks really cool. A weird combination of, it looks like fantasy and kind of like the real world, almost like this is all taking place in someone's imagination. And I think this game might be the most unassumingly cool game out of the whole show. Like, this looks great for sure. So yeah, Little Devil Inside, very intrigued by this. It almost looks like it plays out in like little gameplay vignettes, which is interesting. So yeah, definitely cool showing here. All right, here we go. I need a drink before this one. The one game of the show that I actually got chills. Demon Souls Remake, it seems. It seems not even remaster. It seems like a full-on remake. And obviously I'm a big Souls fan, like who isn't nowadays, but Demon Souls holds a really special place in my heart. That's really where, I mean, that is where it all began, unless you go back to Kingsfield. But just look at this. This is full-on remake quality. This looks insanity. I'm just gonna sit here and watch this and not talk as much. Awesome. That's probably game of the show for me. Alright, Deathloop. This is easily the first-person shooter of the show. They didn't show many here, but this looks like Dishonored meets Hotline Miami, or like Super Hot or something, where it seems like you have to get through these encounters without dying or you restart. So it's all about getting into that shooter gameplay zen and really just nailing that perfect flow through the levels. At least that's what it looks like to me. Definitely looks really good. Will play it for sure. Next up, Horizon Forbidden West. This will probably be the game of the show for many. It's not quite mine, but it is very high on the list. I'm hoping with this sequel they kind of step back a little bit from the open world playbook and kind of do something a little more freeform. I really liked the first Horizon, but it wasn't one of my favorite open world games. So yeah, it looks like this one does open up quite a bit. They're swimming now. I like the greenery in this. It looks really cool. So yeah, to kind of wrap up my thoughts, give this a absolutely arbitrary score of the PlayStation 5 reveal Future of Gaming show. It was definitely solid. I would say about halfway through the show I was leaning towards maybe a B-, but I think I'm going to end with a B. I think the second half was much stronger than the first half. They showed many games. They did a decent job at showing gameplay. It wasn't perfect. They didn't show quite as much gameplay as I would have liked. One or two just astonishing, like, oh my gosh, announcements in there, but not quite as many as I thought there was going to be. It seems like there was a lot more family-friendly or family-oriented games than I would have thought. They may have some analytics out there that they're not quite bringing in enough of the younger audience, since it's not sustainable to always be catering to the 20 to 40-year-old hardcore demographic. But it was definitely a solid show. I enjoyed watching it. I will play probably 90% of all those games and try to cover them as best I can. But that was my general thoughts on the PlayStation 5 show. Let me know what you thought of it. And as always, thanks for watching Boomstick Gaming. I'll see you next time.
And we put years of work into making them happen.